Okay. I have cleaned up most of the solder blobs that were on it that I'm going to clean up. There's one on this side over here that I haven't filed yet. I think I'll knock that down in a little while. Total length is about 11 centimeters. I think it might be just a tiny bit longer than that, a millimeter or two. I'll go ahead and show. These are the three sizes of rod and tube that I used. The skinniest is solid brass rod, and that would be these pieces on the sides, the spare tire piece, this piece right here, the piece on the roof, this brace right here for triangulating the front, this piece, and this piece. These are all 3/64 K&S brass rod. And then the middle size tubing it's hollow tubing, and they're all K&S brand. I don't remember the size of these other two. This piece would be here, wraps around the front on the outside. The window frame or front roll cage, which actually connects in here, wraps all the way around back to the main chassis rails. The main chassis rails are actually the bigger tube here, right here, and they're just little short pieces right there. So that makes this piece and this piece that connect to it, it's two different pieces. And I did that because I was thinking about drilling the motor mount holes in this bigger tube. I don't know if I will or not. But anyway, this piece back here for the main roll cage is the same as the front. It's the bigger size. This is the bigger size. It's, well, the medium size tubing. It's the hollow tubing. If it'll focus. It's not going to focus on it. It is hollow tubing. There we go. And then there's that. But this middle size tubing is here, 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 and here. Here and here. Oh, and these. The outer upper pieces right here. On the outside, these. And then, yay. The smaller pieces are all of these little pieces for triangulating it, to stiffen it up. All this. This is the middle size tubing. This is solid rod. Middle size tubing, middle size tubing, solid rod right here. This is solid rod, this is solid rod, and this is one piece on both sides. The spare tire mount, this is one piece on top, and that's solid rod, solid rod also. This is one little short piece that I cut here, and then this is one piece. And then these are the hollow tubing, middle size, right here. This is one piece that wraps around, and then this is the little pieces that I added to it. And it's, look at this stuff. It's significantly heavier than a Duroc chassis. With battery and everything in it, it's actually close to the same weight as this chassis bear. I mean, this is pretty heavy. compared. The X01 chassis is like a feather, the way it is compared to this. The wheelbase and the width is, the wheelbase is really close. It's actually, I think it's about identical to the Duroc, but my chassis is wider than the Duroc. It's wider and longer than the X01. It is double the size of the Gammy RC Baby Fat Girl chassis. So, but that's what I've done, and it looks pretty cool. I like it. I don't know, I guess you could say freestyled all the little triangulation pieces and stuff. Just kind of held the brass rod up to it to see where I thought it would look best and function best. And I'd solder a piece on and then twist it back and forth to see when it got stiff. And if I can figure out how to get my phone to stay without phone, I can show. It is rigid. It is barely, get my foot screw. It barely, I mean, I'm squeezing it pretty hard. You can see the dents on my fingers. It's rigid, it's stiff. This thing will not give at all crawling around on rocks. I used, if you look at my other videos when I was soldering it together, I used a whole bunch of lighters. Killed them to solder it together. You just got to get the brass hot enough to accept the solder, basically. And I used my rulers, went through the chassis, like damn magnets, went through the chassis, put the magnets down on it, used this binder clip, whatever you want to call it, to hold my ruler down, hung it off of the side of my desk, and that kept it from moving around on me just enough to where I could do this. And that's that. If I needed to angle it a little so I could work in a little area, it was easy, but it still stayed where I needed it, so worked out great. So now I've got to figure out, I already know where I'm putting them. The shock mounts, the upper shock mounts are going to be in here. On the rear, they'll be up in there, and the front ones will be in there, right in there. And then I've got to figure out all the link mounts and stuff for down here, and motor mount and all that. I left plenty of clearance for everything. There's nothing blocking where a servo will go. I actually just found a servo that I really like. Ooh, man, it's expensive. I think it would work on this. I also think a Puretech Komodo with the N20 gear reduction would work on this. I think it'll fit. We shall see, because I am going to do this one with good stuff. Because this is going to last. This is durable. This is not going to break. And if it does, I can just solder the damn thing back together. I haven't broke any of mine yet. I scrapped these carbon fiber chassis rails for my namesake truck, Daddy Club RC. Well, Daddy Club. I'm scrapping these. They're just not going to work right. So I spent an afternoon basically coming up with this, and this should work to do what I need for that little truck. It should it should, doesn't mean it will. I'll still have to deal with the shocks going through the bed floor. I'm fine with that. I've got my measurements right there. It's 118 millimeter chassis. And it should work. And that'll put the shocks where I need them. That'll angle the front ones back. Give me multiple different adjustment places for the front shocks and the rear. And on my links, I'm going to do the lower links here, upper links somewhere in this area. I might even make more adjustable areas for that. This is the servo mount, and then this is where the screw would go for the bumper bracket, the aluminum, which is right there. There. And then the second hole is for the peg that sticks out. Eraser. That little peg that sticks out will lock into that. Turn this thing around. Right there. So then I can use the Orlando aluminum bumper frame mount things. And I did the same in the rear. Just the screw hole and the peg hole. Absolutely nothing in here because there's nothing that's going to go there. I might even notch it just a little bit for axle clearance. But it's going to angle the shocks depending on where I put them. Same with the front. It'll angle it a bunch more compared to the way the Orlandos come, and soften up the suspension a lot. It's not really about travel with that truck, it's about being, I guess, cushion soft. And yeah, but that's just another one for another day. Yeah.